Okay, great. Thanks for the opportunity to present Hilton on Little Queen Street. The building itself was built in 1931 and is a neoclassical Gothic revival at the dawn of the Art Deco movement. Our scheme looks at capturing these qualities and reinterpreting them into a contemporary aesthetic and a memorable, unique hospitality experience. When we took over the building, I suppose in the last sort of decade or so, the building had lost its beauty over the years, and it was derelict, full of squatters. So quite a destructive sort of interior. They'd removed all of the heritage elements and sold them off. Our task was to bring it back to life and open it up to the public and tell its story. When we started I suppose the design inspiration for the interior, we looked at the heritage materiality and the detailing of the exterior and the interior of the building. Our intention was to develop a contemporary sort of reinterpretation of that for the new hotel. So just looking at the rich sort of detailing and the tiles and the pattern making, which then sort of transform when we sort of looked at carpets and the like for the interiors. We also looked at the decade that the building was built. We were inspired by the 1930s. And I suppose it was referred to the golden age of travel, and synonymous with the excitement and I suppose exuberance of that era, beginning of the modern sort of glamour and the modern sort of movement as well. The building is made up predominantly of three parts. You can see the existing sort of heritage building, which fronts onto Bourke Street. Then we added 6 levels on top of that. And then there was an 18-storey at the back of that as well. And the intention was with the facade that as it opens up as it gets higher in the building. So as you get the better views, you have more sort of glazed elements to the tower. This section is taken along Little Queen Street. So the building is actually on the corner of Bourke Street and Little Queen Street. And you can see from this broken line here that there is a fall of approximately 1 level in the building. And when we took over the building, I suppose another key element in determining the layout of the building was that there's a super tram stop at the front, right out the front door of the Hilton. So it didn't sort of lend itself to being the key entry to the hotel. We looked at, so I suppose as a result of that, what we did was we introduced a laneway entrance to the hotel, which was at the top end of Little Queen Street. And then I suppose allocating sort of the food and beverage to the Bourke Street end of the lobby of the building. So the food and beverage, which is on the ground floor, ends up being within the heritage areas, which you'll see moving forward. And the lobby and the lounge is on the mezzanine, referred to the mezzanine, which overlooks the restaurant itself. Back of house was allocated to the back with direct access to the lobby and the loading dock. And then there was also a conference suite to the level 1 and heritage rooms and gym to that area. Heritage rooms within the remaining of the tower, a number of rooms over the 6 levels over the top, and then, as I mentioned earlier, 16 levels of guest rooms above that. The reception and porte cochere are located on Little Queen. And I suppose it was pretty much an unknown laneway until we sort of, the Hilton sort of opened there. We worked with a local artist with the artwork that you can see there on the left-hand side, just to try and activate the street a little bit more. And also, I suppose, with the reception being and the drop-off point being on a laneway, I suppose it's very Melbourne, but very different for Hilton. The porte-cochere itself, the screen was designed to sort of activate the entry and reflect the artwork in the laneway. But the triple volume portico with 2 electrical columns creates an impressive and prominent sort of entry into a contemporary reception. So it does reflect the columns, the 2 columns at the Bourke Street entrance, but it's just reinterpreted for this little Queen Street entrance. With the reception, once you walk into the space, the concept for this is fully upholstered, so it is synonymous with, I suppose, the beauty of a crafted sort of luggage of that era. The reception itself, you can see here, I suppose, the plan, the porte-cochere, the entry arrival to the reception, and then into the lobby lounge. In the image above, you can see through that space, and that takes you through to what was the grand hall, which is now the restaurant. As part of the design, we introduced this staircase, which from the reception either takes you down to the restaurant or takes you up to the conference facilities. This is the lobby lounge. So this is actually within the heritage hall. We introduced this mezzanine connected to the reception, and you can see on the image on the right-hand side. So it's quite a triple sort of volume space, and so the lobby actually looks over into the restaurant, Tolucci restaurant below. So a lot of work with the heritage. I mean, the building itself was heritage listed. You can see a window, a historic sort of window of how the columns originally were. We worked with Level Chan to sort of create that in this space, but very restricted on what we can do with ceilings and existing sort of panelling and staircases and the like. So the space that we're standing in is the heritage space. On this side, on the left-hand side of these columns is where the new tower sort of began. So we tried to use some of the materiality, but in a modern sort of way. Planning-wise...
I don't know if you caught that, Grant. I think you've got a minute.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That was quick.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is the bar, the entrance. We kept that open and activated. You can see some images of the bar itself. So quite different, again, some historic images. Keeping the restaurant and the bar to the front of Bourke Street, so activating not only for the guests but for the community as well, with the reception at the back. The light well, existing light well, we removed. It finished on level 1, so we actually took it to the ground level and introduced an atrium opening up from the restaurant. So this is looking back towards a reception, some heritage, some artwork, which we work with local artists within the rooms and the public spaces. Then looking at the rooms, there was a number of heritage rooms. Again, this room, which was the largest of the heritage, a lot of detailing. It sort of worked out pretty much as an installation because we couldn't touch the walls. The doors had to remain in existing positions as well to bathrooms and lobbies. So a bit of work involved there. And then with the typical room, just finishing, last slide, typical room here. Look, we looked at, because of the varying sort of rooms and sizes and layouts and columns and everything like that, we just developed a wardrobe system which was modular, so we could modify quite easily for each of the different types of rooms.